So EA and DICE look to regain the Star Wars Battlefront 2 community's trust. If you don't remember, Battlefront 2 had one of the worst launches in recent memory due to their absolutely horrifying loot boxes and monetization methods that were in the game on release. Now they're looking to implement new characters, game modes, and also new content surrounding Episode 9's release in the box office, which I'm sure that we're all just so excited for. And here's a quote from DICE. Not a week goes by without us thinking, imagine if we hadn't launched with loot boxes the way that we did. Yeah, I mean, imagine that. You probably shouldn't have. But I guess my big question is that even if a game like Battlefront 2 that has a terrible launch does a complete 180, is it ever possible that it will be looked upon in a positive light ever again? And how do you personally feel about this just as a consumer? Are there any games that you've given the time of day to after they've kind of burned you upon release?
I think one that really sticks out in my mind that I didn't personally get burned on, but I have a really hard time believing anybody about still was, fortunately, we had Morgan on from Sword Chomp, and he was talking about No Man's Sky, and that level of game, how much hype that had. I mean, that's probably in the last few years here, like how big that game was supposed to be and how disappointing it was to everybody that played it on launch. I still can't look at it positively. I mean, you could tell me until you're blue in the face that it's a great game. They fixed it, a few years down the road. Like, this is definitely worth checking out. I don't think I can do it.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
All right, no, go ahead. I've talked enough, man. I'll get my point later.
Well, my only point on No Man's Sky, I agree with you. I can't play it either. After getting burned, but every comment and video I see about No Man's Sky currently says something along the lines of, oh, hey, this game is good now. You should check it out. It's totally worth the money. Beep, beep, boop, I'm a robot. And I can't help but wonder, is this a marketing campaign from Hello Games or whoever the hell it is that makes No Man's Sky? I don't know if it's Hello Games. I might have just actually made that company up. They might not even exist. But honestly, I see the same comment, and it's like they have people in the comment section saying like, hey, just type in like, no, this game's really good now. Just try it out. It's totally worth the money. Does anybody else see this?
I think this is kind of an interesting thing because it's kind of like pertain to the gaming industry alone. You know what I mean? Like, you see a lot of products can bounce back, like the gaming industry is unique in this way. You know what I'm saying? But if Morgan's listening from Sword Chomp, I'm with Matt and Wolf. You could have hyped that up for an hour and a half, and I would have been like, right, buddy. But
it's not even that It's not even that I don't believe him. I mean, the game might be good. I really liked Morgan.
Sure, right.
Take his opinion at high value, but like,
look at us, right? We're sitting here like second guessing it. We have a guy who pays close attention to the gaming industry, like Morgan, comes in, and who obviously he has kids and a family, and from what we gathered from him on the show, he values his time, right, and his value pertaining to what games he plays as a gamer. And he's still playing a game like No Man's Sky. Okay, you have an example in Morgan alone. Okay, but to go back to Battlefront and what I was saying about the gaming industry is like, it's way too hard. There are exceptions, right? Look, Anthem is dead on the water. The developers are even leaving. You know what I mean? So
Anthem was dead on day one, man. That game never had a chance.
No Man's Sky made a comeback. Warframe made a comeback. I'm pretty sure that not Paradox made that point on the show with you guys last week. That game was a horrible release, and look at it now. Destiny 1 was a failure at launch, pretty much. And, well, maybe not a failure. They had great marketing with that game, but
that's true, yeah.
Until they came out with Taken King, that game was pretty dead for the most part. And then Taken King, and they revitalized it. So there are examples of games in this industry that can make the jump back. But in terms of like Battlefront, where so many people already had a like we already had Battlefront when we were kids, right? And if you played them, Wolf, like I played them, the original Battlefront games were the shit. Even to play by yourself, you didn't even have online. I played the original Battlefront games way too much. More
Yeah,
than
me
I'd
too.
like to admit, probably.
Yep,
And
Kashyyyk docks Battlefront 1.
all-
Forget about it, dude.
But I cool that, but it's EA at the same time. So just everybody has a hard time trusting EA to begin with. So, and does DICE really have a say in the matter when they go, well, we don't want to take this approach where we want to have two grow and not come out with a third one? If you read this article that Matt sent to us and, that we looked at it, they literally had the mindset when they made number one, they didn't even care. They said, we're going to make them pay for stuff for a year out from release. And then we're going to start moving on to two. We don't even give a shit about number one. Our eyes are already on what we're going to make on number two.
Insane.
So
absolutely insane.
How can somebody who is nostalgic and has passion for the Star Wars game, especially the old Battlefronts, trust EA or even DICE's word on this? Look at Battlefield 5. Oh my God, that was a dumpster fire too.
I mean, you can't trust them. And me personally, I don't like being lied to, or at least feeling like I mistrusted you or something, and you gave me something that I didn't actually ask for. It's actually like maybe the thing that I hate the most, whether it be like me with a person or me with a company. So like once that happens, like as soon as No Man's Sky releases and I hear that it's nothing like what was advertised, I will never fucking play that game. I will never buy anything from that company. Like I'm done. Same. I don't care if like 15 years down the road, they're the shining example of video game making. I want nothing to do with them. You can't just like wash away your false advertising.
Oh yeah,
and I feel like companies expect to do that. They're like, oh yeah, we fucked up. Like, sorry, we tried to take advantage of you with loot boxes. Like no, like get fucked. Like you can't just do that and then make me play your game in 6 months. I'm not gonna play it.
Look at Bethesda's a good example of this too. Look at the aura that's already starting to surround the next Elder Scrolls by what we've seen from Fallout 76.
Mm. Yeah,
people are already skeptical.
It's worrisome.
And
that one's way off. That's not.
Bethesda's had quite a few blemishes. Youngbloods, from what I understand, is straight trash. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people I heard from, especially watching Delrith review it from the Angry Joe show, has permanently stained the Wolfenstein franchise with that. And like to go on to support what I was saying, and so it makes at least a little sense, is what in the gaming industry, once you've done that, like what Matt's saying, once you've gone back on your word or have not given what was promised to be delivered, even in the slightest, the gaming industry is just non-forgiving. EA could, and this Battlefront could make the next 10 moves in this game's future 100% how they should be or right, and I still think that it's not going to save them. I think what the damage is done on Battlefront, in my own opinion, and it's here to stay. The people who are still playing it now may find that the game has gone better, like how Morgan's saying is with No Man's Sky, but you'll never see people, and I think that Matt and I, who have just said that, there are a lot more people like us out there than the people who will go back and give it a second chance.
Well, actually, I'm not sure that that's true. There are people like us that won't go back, and we're the good ones. We're the examples. But there are so many people. Like, look at No Man's Sky. The gaming population, the people that play video games are very hard up front. Like, they'll hammer you up front. They'll be like, oh, like, we didn't ask for this. Like, we're not playing this shitty game, blah, blah, blah. And then 6 months later, as soon as like that company puts out a few PR spin pieces, they're right back in the game. And they're advertising for free the game that they just hated. I see it all the time.
Yep. People play it, people promote it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of disturbing. And
it is a little disturbing, actually.
How often it does happen. I think, yeah, I know what you're saying, man. I do kind of feel like I might be one of the outliers that won't give a game like that a second chance when they definitely come out and blatantly lie. I mean, I know you can people do it all the time, quoting Todd Howard and like Bethesda, like with his blatant lies for the games. And granted, they make
those are sweet little lies. Yeah, they're different.
Right. I mean, they're granted. You know, his aren't as impactful, I guess, because I mean, in most cases, the game was still pretty good back in those times. I think it was like Oblivion and Skyrim and Fallout 3 and everything else. So they ended up being good games, and you can forgive that you know, this guy's ambitions are getting the best of him. I guess he gets excited about these games, and good for him. But in No Man's Sky, what they promoted and what they produced, and I don't want to rag on this game so much. I feel bad now, honestly, but completely different than what was advertised, and that's terrible. I could not support that. And the last thing I want to say about this is we're talking about, Josh, you were talking about Battlefront, like how many hours we spent playing that game as kids, and how many games, Star Wars games and movies, how much time we've invested into that franchise as a whole. How do they keep fucking this up so badly with the movies, with the new games? Everything they're doing now is just horrible. Like, they got the keys to the Lamborghini and they just like drove it, like, you know, straight through the garage door and into a tree.
Yeah,
like,
they
immediately.
got like 3 feet out.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you could literally do anything. Like, you could have made
I know.
You know, you could have been, the game could have been about like being Jar Jar Binks or something, and it would have been better than what they did with the loot boxes and everything else surrounding the game. It's just absolutely insane how you can mess it up.
I don't think there's really an answer for it. I think that it's
movie
goes
wise,
back to our hold on, man. It goes back to it goes right back before we get on this shit. Okay, with these movies, it goes right back to our previous podcast with politics and video games, and I think there's too many fingers involved, especially because stuff like Star Wars. There's too many influencers, right? Like, it's just too big. You know what I'm saying? It's too large of a IP to not piss at least somebody off, right? And I think that just from the get-go, I whatever, I don't even know where the hell. It's like there's so many different things you can blame on with the failure.
The movies are just a joke. They could have come out with a Chewbacca growing up story, and they could have called it like The Adventures of Young Chewbacca. That could have been it, and it could have been all on Kashyyyk, and it could have been all in the language of the Wookiee language with no subtitles, and I would have preferred that to Episode 7. That movie sucked.
All I can say for Star Wars is, like, I have hopes for The Mandalorian. I think The Mandalorian looks pretty good.
I like the new Obi-Wan with Ewan McGregor that they're gonna do, because he's my favorite character.
That's promising. Hello there, all that stuff. You know, I got you, Matt. I'm with you. But like, has anybody watched the D23 footage for the trailer of the new movie?
No.
I was talking to you guys about Slack with this. So for anybody who hasn't watched it out there and is listening, Rey comes out with a double-bladed lightsaber. Okay.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I did see it.
And Matt, did you play KOTOR? This has really nothing to do with what we're talking about.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
But nobody answered me, and I was like, man, all I could think about when I saw her was Bastila from KOTOR when she.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Shit.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
somebody that
I didn't get that same vibe, because I don't want to associate a shitty character like Rey. It has no depth. With like a semi, like she was a pretty decent character. She's not like an amazing character, but pretty good.
To go back, I guess, to link what Matt's saying with these movies to the games that we're talking about and the unforgiving, because people are emotional for this stuff. You know what I mean? People care about these stories and these franchises and stuff, and I'm no less excited for whatever the hell they're gonna do to Battlefront to make it better as I am as excited to go and watch the episode 9 of Star Wars. It doesn't matter if they bring J.J. Abrams or whoever the hell they want to bring in to fix this franchise, or in Battlefront story, whatever business practices or implementations to further content in the game. It doesn't matter. You lost me already. You failed. You know, you've lost a fan in terms of the main story in me. and I'm sure and it's obvious that there are a lot of other people like me out there.
I mean, I think it's okay to be pissed if they like fuck up or like do something wrong, but if down the road they redeem themselves and the game's actually good, like I'll still play it. Like I'm not that
Jaded.
I won't hold a grudge that bad. I mean, that's just me personally. I'm not saying one way is right or wrong.
I do. I take it very personally.
Have you seen the new Star Wars, Dave?
No, like I haven't.
Well, there you go.
I really can't. Yeah, no, like I can't say about it, but like I mean, I played other games that like were shitty at first, and then they like got better later on, and then I came back and played them because they were good again, and it was fun.
Like WoW,
so.
Sure.
It got shitty
Yeah,
and then
WoW-
it gets good.
WoW-
And then it
WoW's
gets shitty and then it gets good.
Yeah, no, WoW's a really good example of that. Even just like BFA on launch, BFA kind of was shit, and like we kind of stopped playing, and then like the latest patch was like good, and so I came back and played it because it was fun again.